Welcome back to Quantum Visions, and in this video we're about to talk on A Reasonable Mistake or Murder by Amber Guyger and Botham Jean. Now there's all type of stories about this, and the one story that we have heard and known is the story that they might have been together some way somehow. And there's no way you are going to walk inside of someone's house and not know it's not your house. You're saying she said it was her house. She believed that it was her house. But when I walk in my house, I know my house smells different than someone else's house. I know my house feels different than someone else's house. And I also know that my furniture and how I have things set up is different. And I know that I don't have a black guy sitting on my couch eating ice cream in the middle of the night in my house if I'm Amber Guyger. Now, in this video, we're about to touch upon it. Let's get it.
On Prime Crime.
You saw someone?
Yes, I thought it was my apartment. I'm Oh my god. I'm sorry.
It's a police shooting hard to imagine.
Why is she screaming that like that? Like the fact that she keeps constantly screaming, I thought it was my apartment. I thought it was my apartment. It just makes me believe that you didn't think that was your apartment. You're trying to prove that you fully believe that was your apartment. Come on, man. Come on, man.
A reasonable mistake or murder.
It was
scared.
It was murder. I'm sorry.
So sorry.
I don't believe that she believed that was her house. I mean, it was on a totally different floor. Everything. It just nothing could have been the same.
Defendant who may not be what she seems.
I do believe that she is re-traumatizing the family.
Prime crime.
Hey everybody, I'm Jesse Weber and welcome to Prime Crime. This is where we do a deeper dive into the most high-profile and memorable true crime cases. There are a lot of dangers in the world, and our home is always supposed to be the place where we're safe. But for one young man, it proved to be anything but.
Get up, man.
Dallas 911, this is Carla. Where's your emergency?
On September 6, 2018, in Dallas, Texas, police officer Amber Guyger returns back to her apartment complex after a 13-hour shift. But she doesn't go to her unit on the 3rd floor. Instead, she ends up on the 4th floor.
Hi, this is an off-duty officer. I need EMS. I'm in number.
What's your address? What's going on?
I'm an off-duty officer. I thought it was in my apartment, and I shot a guy thinking it was my apartment.
Guyger claimed that she mistakenly thought she entered her apartment, when in reality, it was the home of her 26-year-old neighbor, Botham Jean.
How, Sway? You don't have the answer, Sway. How, Sway? That's asinine to me. Like, for you to actually believe that people would believe that you went in your apartment and you're supposed to go on the 3rd floor, you went on the 4th floor. So the apartments must be stacked right on top of each other. It must be in the exact same location. How did you open the door? When you went in, wasn't you already suspicious because the door is unlocked? Aren't you like, freeze, put your hand up, or looking around like they do in the damn movies with the flashlight trying to see who in the house? You don't just walk in somewhere and shoot. That's not something that you're supposed to. That's not a part of your protocol, ma'am. That you're supposed to be a police officer. You're supposed to go through all these trainings. That's not a part of your protocol. There's a certain way that you're supposed to conduct yourself in these types of situations. And that's what you didn't do it. You didn't apply the necessary tools for this job. Let's continue.
I think there were signs that should have showed her that she was going to the wrong place. I mean, at the outset, when she walks up to the front door. There's a red doormat that is not her own.
That's bro.
That should have been.
I should be a detective because this shit makes sense to think about this like this. There's no way you're gonna walk in somebody's place and see a red rug and you got a blue one. Red is a very, very prominent color. You're gonna see it. Come on now.
Not only that, but entering into the apartment, it very much looked like any other bachelor's apartment, or what you would expect in a bachelor's apartment to look like. There was an ironing board that was out. There were, pictures and hangings on the wall that presumably did not look like the things in her own home.
I thought it was my apartment.
Mm-hmm.
I need a new supervisor. Hey, bud.
Then there are other subtle signs. So the amount of time that it takes to navigate from one floor to the other.
Right.
Something usually goes off in your mind. It's taking me a little bit longer than it normally does.
Right.
And then further, you look at the totality of the mistakes, right? It may be all small things, but if it's 10 small things, at what point do you kind of wake up? And
it's 10 small things. You go to the wrong floor, boom. The elevator has the floor number. You got to press down on the elevator to get to your damn house. You pressing it up. What? When the damn thing ding, it hits 4, not 3. You got to go down a floor to get to your house. Why are you going up an extra floor? That don't make sense. Let's continue.
Understand that you're in the wrong place.
Investigators would conclude that at the time Guyger entered the unit, Jean was on the couch eating ice cream. Evidence would even suggest that Jean may have been in a cowering or ducking position when shot. So then why did Guyger shoot him? Although she failed to clearly state this on the 911 call, she later said she thought Jean was an intruder and her life was in danger.
He an intruder. How is Botham an intruder sitting on the couch eating ice cream? Does that sound like an intruder to you? An intruder is somebody they're not going to be sitting out in the open for you to see them. If they're a smart intruder, they're going to be hiding somewhere when they hear the door open. They're not going to just be sitting there. Come on now. Why he had his door open? Who knows? Maybe he just liked to have his door open. Maybe he forgot to lock it that night. I do it sometimes, every so often. I may forget to lock the door. I get up and check, but it was still early enough for him to have walked to the door and was like, oh, damn, I forgot to lock the door. It's 9 o'clock. Let me lock the door before I go to sleep. Now, you can't blame that man for that. It's normal. What she did was not normal. You do not go to the wrong floor. All these damn tall tale signs telling you you're in the wrong place and then tell everybody I thought it was my neighbor, my apartment. No.
That she reasonably perceived a threat here. She entered into an apartment that was not her own. It didn't have the same doormat. Presumably, the affixments and things on the walls were not like her own. Not only that, he was not armed. Maybe he spoke in a loud voice, but of course, that's because she was in his apartment.
Here's why Audible is a great side hustle. Because thanks to this free app available on the App Store,
concealment and cover should come before firing your weapon when possible.
Facts.
Tactically, the best thing would have been to back out of the doorway and try to take cover. She had a radio, could have called 911 and so forth.
Stay with me, bud. She's tired. Hurry.
Was this Guyger's fault because she was overtired from a long shift, or because she was distracted? The investigation would show that Guyger had been sexting with her partner and occasional lover, Officer Martin Rivera, sending messages such as, "super horny today," and "want a touch?" In fact, Guyger was on the phone with Rivera as she pulled into her apartment complex.
She was certainly distracted, but distracted to a point where you would enter an apartment that was the wrong apartment, think that someone's an assailant, and kill them. That's quite a leap.
Right.
Not to mention, she is an emergency service worker. That's why we give them so much praise, because they are constantly working under extreme conditions where they are a little bit tired, a little bit distracted. but that does not distract them from doing their job.
As Guyger excitedly tries to explain what happened, listen carefully to what she says.
You saw someone?
Yes, I thought it was my apartment. I'm Oh my God. I'm sorry.
Guyger's 911 call was very interesting. She seemed to be very focused on the consequence to her.
Okay, we have help on the way.
I know, but I'm gonna lose my job.
Wow.
I thought it was my apartment. I thought it was my apartment. I could have sworn I parked on the 3rd floor.
Okay, I understand.
No. I thought it was my apartment. I thought it was my apartment.
Of course, she continues to reiterate
But this brother got a red rug outside the door. Like, you could not have mistaken that. Like, you just couldn't. You could not have. I'm sorry. This dude got a red rug outside the door, bruh. Like, there's no way. There's absolutely no way you made that mistake and went in that house and didn't realize that wasn't your house. Like, there's no way. It's impossible for me to believe that could.
She thought it was her apartment. She thought it was her apartment. I think it was some 19 times. She talks about parking on the wrong floor, which I don't know how she would know that if she had just shot someone. Seemed to me that she was getting together her excuse.
She was corroborating the story.
That she was going to say to the 911 operator and whoever else.
He's right. He's right. There's no way she would have known that she was at the wrong house on the wrong floor unless she already knew that before she did this. So she would have had to have known that, especially her saying it out of her own mouth. I'm on the wrong floor. I parked on the wrong floor. Like, how would you know that if you thought that was your house? If you thought that was your house, then you called them and like, I just shot this guy and boom, boom, boom. And you're not crying and saying, I'm going to lose my job, I'm effed and all of that. You're not saying all of that because you think this your house. Apparently, you knew that wasn't your house. How come you knew it wasn't your house the moment you shot him? Come on now.
To justify this shooting of Botham Jean.
Oh my God, I'm done. I didn't mean to. I didn't mean to. I'm so sorry.
In fairness, a shooting is a life-altering event. The overwhelming majority of police officers go through 20, 25 years of service and never fire their weapons. And to shoot your weapon and to hit someone and know that that person's probably going to expire is a life-altering event. So she certainly did sound a little panicked on the 911 calls. However, that's somewhat reasonable.
Towards the end of the 911 call, we hear officers responding to the crime scene. That's when new pieces of the story come into focus.
I thought they were in my apartment. I thought this was my floor.